we gotta say hello.
You ready?
Hello, everybody.
The last time we talked to you guys, we talked to you guys about how we met and how dating was for us. Okay, now we're going to talk to you guys about how we got married.
I hope you guys have been enjoying those clips.
Yes.
I mean, we want to hear yours.
Yeah, we really do.
It's not a perfect story, but it's perfect enough for you guys, whoever you guys are.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into it. So basically in 2013, we were dating from 2011 to 2013.
11, 12, 13, yep.
And it's January 2013. He calls me and he tells me to meet him at a restaurant. He needed to talk to me about something. I go, okay. So I meet up with him, and then he goes, hey, I talked to my mom, and we had this conversation, and I think we should get married. And I just remember in 2013, January 2013, I'm like, it caught me off guard, because I was like, wait, what? We talked about it, but not really talked about it. And then our conversation lasted for about 2 hours. We ate, we talked some more, and then his mom called from Tama'a, and then we made the decision, okay, we're going to tell our families here that we're going to get married. We want to get married. And so I let my family, and I eased my family into knowing that we wanted to get married. And then now it was just up to him to let his family here know that we were going to get married. That same week of the conversation and everything, and me letting my family know, he went on a family trip.
My biological family was okay with it, but my family in the States were not okay with it.
Yeah.
Right. And again, for everyone for their own, right? Own reasons of why they didn't want certain things to happen. I went on a family trip and came back. And that trip, I was supposed to bring up a conversation. I was supposed to have a conversation with my family about, hey, me and Lotte, we're deciding to have this, make this decision and move forward with it. But I didn't have the conversation. It was just something about when you feel the environment or you feel the room to have a certain conversation. I mean, it just didn't feel right. And so I ended up not having a conversation, came back, and what happened?
We called off the wedding. We called off everything.
Yeah.
Since January 2013 up to February 2013. I remember our conversation when we both called it off. Well, we both want to get married, but our family doesn't approve of it. Okay. And then we kind of just looked at each other. We're like, I guess we have to break up. So we broke up, and I was so freaking heartbroken.
I was heartbroken too.
Were you really?
Yeah.
I was so heartbroken that I just remember I was going through health issues. I was going through so many other things that. I was like, I do not need this in my life. And so long story short, talked to my sister in Australia, and I ended up moving overseas to Australia, and I lived with my sister. And I completely left the whole US. I just didn't want anything to do with him and anything that came with him. I just left. Okay?
It's funny, when you left, I would still come visit your parents. I've seen a meme post, right? In words. It says, we feel so close with your in-laws that they feel like family instead of in-laws.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, the very nice family. I always felt welcome every time I came around. And it's funny because my family always looked at them as they thought something was fake about them, just because they were always positive, always smiling, always, they were always upbeat, and so, and everybody can attest to this, all in-laws into the family, that there's something off with them. But really, there's just that light in the world that, full of darkness. You just can't see anything else better about life but just being so negative. It's weird to come across a family who's upbeat. Again, there's no such thing as a perfect family, but if you can just, if the family can just keep a smile and go through life and try to, uplift as many people as they can, what better thing can you do other than that, other than being negative?
Yep. Basically, I left. He kept coming around my family members.
I was like, is she coming back anytime soon? I low-key miss her. I would come around and do some stuff at the house. They'd always feed me.
Yeah.
It felt like family, like we always known each other. So yeah, it didn't feel different, coming around, even though we broke up.
Yep. Moved to Australia, lived with my sister.
You want to live your life?
I was
Live the
definitely
best
living
life.
up my life. I'm not gonna lie. The same week that I moved to Australia, my sister goes, "Do you want to go to Tonga? My namesake is actually having a baptism, and I want to do this for her. Do you want to come with me?" And I was like, "Okay." And she booked my ticket like right then and there. And like my second week out of the U.S., I was in Tonga. So after I was in Tonga, I'm living my life, you know, having a blast. And then I go to see my uncle. My only uncle is in Tonga, in Baloloa. And as I'm going to his house, I cross the street to his house. There's somebody call my name, and I'm just shocked because I'm like, who would know me here? Like nobody. I don't know anybody, right? And the person who calls me is basically his sister Ceci.
But you guys have never met.
I never met her before. Only seen her on Facebook, and then she rolls up on this white truck with her husband Nella and Taimoni, baby Taimoni at that time, and she's all like. She's like, Lotte, it's me, Ceci. I'm Naki's sister. And I just remember like, oh Lord, like I can't get away from this guy. But she comes, I meet
connection everywhere.
Yeah. I meet her. She is still the most sweetest like sister-in-law ever to me. The whole time I'm in Tonga, she just kept coming to visit. I just wasn't into anything. I didn't care for anything at the time. And so my last day in Tonga, we have a big feast. There's a hula hula happening. And as we're having our feast, somebody calls me like, "Hey Lotte, there's somebody here for you." Once again, who would be here for me? I'm not related to anybody but my uncle. My uncle was already there. And then I see Ceci, Nia, and Moana come, and they brought food, basically like a gift for me. Like they had like trays and trays and trays of food. And as I'm going into the living room, my sister comes with me, you know, and her aunties and uncles, this is their home in Liahona. They basically just said to me, I know, please forgive my brother and his stupidity, and please go back to America to him. There isn't anybody there to help guide him and show him the right way, the right path. And, you know, it was so sweet. And I was just like thinking to myself while I was sitting there like, dude, this idiot back in America does not know how blessed he is to have amazing family who love on him and still who care about him. And I'm freaking all the way in Tonga, and yet they're still trying to like speak on his behalf. And that was my first time meeting his like biological sisters and just anybody in his family. But I also got to see the house that he grew up in, and they got to share a lot of stories with me. After that, I went back to Australia and, you know, kept my relationship with his sisters still. But something happened where I had to come back. My mom was just not feeling too well, and I ended up coming back to America. And so I came.
Yeah, it was more of a visit trap. Gotcha.
And so, with that being said, ended up talking, meeting up.
We missed each other.
Yeah, just catching up.
Well, you know, stuff happens when you miss each other.
Just catching up.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back, we linked up a couple weeks later, and then we made the decision just to get married.
Yes.
But we made that decision to get married because we found out we had a little surprise on its way. There was a shaka wedding.
Since our permission to get married got denied multiple times, we had decided to cross some boundaries to make it to the promised land.
We took matters into our own hands.
Yeah, we said, God, please forgive me, but I'm gonna go ahead and shoot and ask questions later.
We're laughing about it now because of how much we've come and how far we've come.
Yes.
But we had a shotgun wedding, and that was not the best way. Of course, a lot of people were not happy with us.
It was the best way for our situation.
For our situation, that was we felt like that was the only way. It didn't matter. Like if we actually had a wedding that we wanted, it would have never happened. People will not have allowed it to happen. And that's just the honest truth. Basically, how we got married.
Yeah,
we got married prematurely. We had to figure things out on our own, and it wasn't something that we're proud of, you know. But this is our story, and it built us to who we are today.
We went ahead and sat down with our pastor and said, "Hey, pastor, could you help us be a security guard?"
We basically we asked her to help us break the news and help us stay alive.
Break the news and keep it moving, and keep everybody safe. We broke them the news saying, "We're gonna get married."
And
whether you like it or not.
And I just remember it wasn't more so of my family. I think it was more of other people.
Oh yeah.
You know, and
So,
because
other people were. I mean, most people were heartbroken because you had so much going on. You have done so much for your family and close families, close friends, that they had expected the biggest wedding out of you, but unfortunately, that's not what happened.
there were only certain people who knew our story
Yeah.
because it like how do you navigate through everything, you know?
Right.
And so when we told my parents and my siblings, we asked the pastor to be there to break the news. And I remember my dad asking my husband, like, okay, all right, how dare you guys have the pastor here? He asked my husband, like, when is the wedding going to be? When are you guys planning to have this wedding? I kid you not. We looked at each other and then we turned back.
This weekend.
And he answered. And
We're gonna have it this weekend. And that weekend happened to be Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Valentine's Day is our anniversary.
Fast forward into the us getting papers and doing our marriage license, and I just remember as we were doing our marriage license, we were just laughing and giggling the whole time. It was the most craziest thing ever. When we left there, my mom said if we had just allowed them to get married the time they wanted to get married, we could have avoided all of this mess.
Yeah. After we had broke the news, after that meeting, as we all left, your dad walked up to me and he asked, "Are you going to be able to take care of my daughter?" And right away, I just said yes, yes, yes. I didn't say yes, in fear. I didn't say yes, and it's just we had been through some things in our dating days, and we really enjoyed each other. We really enjoyed being around each other. Obviously, as you can see today, we've been through some stuff, and we're still here. And I repeatedly say this to you that I don't. There's nobody else out there. Like, you would ask me, like, "Are you sure you want to be with somebody else?" Like, no, I don't. And as I mentioned in the video before, like, your older sister, right? Your oldest daughter. Even though I'm not an oldest brother or oldest, or oldest son, but I had played the role of the son that has always done everything for the family. I feel like that you could, that we would work together, like we would do great together, because you play that role, and I have played the role of an older brother. Not that I am, but the characters that you had was just very attractive to me. You're a leader, you work hard. And just the way you carry yourself.
Thank you, my love.
Very classy. Top notch. But yeah, so broke the news, and then
we had to plan a wedding in 1 week. It's so surreal for me. At the same time, my mom and dad kept saying, "Oh, this is the happiest we've seen you. This is the happiest we've seen you guys together." And shout out to my cousin Ofeina, because Naki lived in this apartment, and the only thing he had there was a sleeping bag on the floor.
There's a blanket on the floor with my teddy bear.
And so Naki gives my cousin his key to the apartment, because she says she wants to go and look, make sure everything's good, and get it ready.
Ready for that same weekend.
Yeah, for that same weekend. So when I moved in, right, and then I just remember she opens the apartment door and she walks in, and I get this phone call from her. She was locked in. I go, what? She's like,
what is this guy?
She's like, what is your dad gonna come sit on? Like, what is your family gonna come to?
I had one folding chair.
One folding chair. He had a sleeping bag and blankets on the floor, and then and then that was basically it. He didn't really have anything,
This is my first time living on my own, so I didn't know. I mean, as long as I have a roof over my head, food, I'm good, Gucci.
Yep. And so then she furnished that whole apartment for us
that weekend.
That same week, in like 3-4 days.
A bed,
a dresser, a mirror, couches, chairs, coffee table, kitchen table, kitchen chair. Like
shout out to Ofeina.
Yeah, she basically furnished the whole apartment in 3 days and got it ready for us, because after the marriage license, we just came back to the apartment to eat with family, family and whatnot, and then we got ready for the actual wedding. So it was Thursday was the marriage license, then it was Friday when we got married.
Oh, I gotta share this part. I had a hoopty.
Oh yes.
I had a hoopty rusted out Oldsmobile, maybe 1950s, 60s.
Mm.
Somebody asked me, "Are you guys gonna get a rental?"
Yeah. He's gonna get a rental for the wedding weekend.
And I go, "Why would we need a rental? Like my car works."
The rusted car. We did the marriage license on Thursday. We got married on Friday. We got ready. We met at the church. The family was on Skype, and then it was just my parents and my siblings there, and then I believe two of his cousins here.
Mm-hmm.
But here's how God also works, because there's a couple who's been part of our story since the beginning, who's watched us, counseled us, and helped us through the most craziest part. Their name is Tavana Sia Taufalele. They're a huge part of our life. Through the whole craze, we didn't even let them know that we were getting married, and it was kind of so quick. Everything was so quick that, like, as we were getting ready to get married, Tavana was taking care of the church, and he literally came to check on something at the church, as well as another family who has loved on us from the beginning, which was Fangu, Latapu, Tama'a, Latapu. Like, they came to the church to get things ready too, because apparently there was a dance that night. And then I was just like, they all walked in, and all they saw was like, we were getting ready for our wedding, and they were shook, and they were just like, oh my gosh, and they ended up staying. And to be honest with you, that completed it for us for that time being.
Just the right people was there.
The right people who needed to be there. And so we ended up getting married, and then we just went to a simple restaurant. We went to Shakarama.
Yep,
and that was the reception. Yep. The people who took us to the restaurant, because he had a hoopty, was
my cousin Davey and your
rest
cousin.
Rest in love. Our brother Davey, oh my gosh, and his wife, who was my auntie, which is Essie. So David Finau Kamoto took us to our reception.
They were
because they had the nice car.
Right, they had the nice car, and they were able to. So that was our limo for our wedding.
So they took us to the restaurant, and then they brought us back to the church.
Right.
And when we came back to the church to where we were trying to pick up the hoopty to go home, they told us to come inside the church. But they invited us in, and basically we got to have our
first dance.
Yeah. And that was shout out to Sia and Maama Taufalele, as well as Emma, who was a youth leader at that time. It was a Valentines dance, and we got to
so we had a wedding, reception at the Falekai, and a dance.
And our first dance.
First dance.
Yep. If you guys don't know, Tavana is Naki's basically older brother, right-hand man, who's counseled us through everything, who teaches us. He's that tough love that's been in our life for so long. Yeah. And his wife, Sia, like, I hope one day you guys all can hear their story, because they were able to tolerate and guide us. It's because they've been through, a lot.
Couples that's been together through the worst and still, be able to keep going. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are the best example to learn from. After
we got in the car, and then that was basically it. Yeah. We had to let my parents let everybody else know. We let everybody else know. Yeah. And then the next day when we woke up after we got married, it was a funeral. It was like a funeral, meaning like
it's the heart.
Yeah, the heartbreak, and it's not intentionally. We didn't want to have it that way. It was because of the situation that we've already experienced before wanting to get married, and then just everything. Like, this was. I know it sounds bad. It was like the only way. Like, remember, I'm the oldest girl. There was nobody to mirror or to follow, and there was nobody there for us. Nobody was really there for cheering us on. Yeah. And so we just
we both had to pioneer a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Being the first married young adults in the family, in the church, in our environment. Mm-hmm. So we had to figure out a lot, and we gone through a lot. We had fought a lot. We had so many, close calls, and it's built us. It's made us strong today, and we just want to give hope.
Got ready for the first Sunday. That's when everybody showed up. It was very packed, and it was very overwhelming for us because we weren't expecting that, but everybody came and they showed up and showed out for us, and they showed love. And we just told everybody, I'm sorry that it had to be this way. Please know that like it wasn't meant to be this way. You know, we weren't planning on it to be this way, but it happened this way.
Yeah.
And as much as a lot of people were hurt about it, it was hard. It was hard because I don't think a lot of people actually forgave us until years later. Yeah.
But yeah, we were in our own world, you know. We were in our own world that, you know, there was no connection, there's no no common ground.
Yeah. There was no way that there could have been like an actual wedding happening, you know, with us. But because of what we've been through and how we've been through, that's why we are the way we are. Even when my siblings were getting ready to get married, even when my siblings were dating, even when anybody who's close to us is dating or getting ready to get married, like our perspective and our POV is completely different because we know how it feels to be like not supported. Yeah. You know, we try to get insight in different ways. And so we ended up getting married, and then from there.
So we got married because I said, hey, we're going to get married, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously, we didn't want to have a child out of wedlock. But unfortunately, we had a miscarriage about 3-4 months in.
It was hard.
That was heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking because, like, the doctor has always told me, like, you're going to get pregnant, but you're always going to have miscarriages. You're never going to reach a full-term baby. Like, just because of my health issues, they would just continually keep saying, like, you're just not going to have, like, a baby. You won't be able to have kids. So it's hard. I just remember when I found out about that, you know, to those who actually have gone through it, you understand the pain. You kind of start to blame yourself and you think, like, what is wrong with you? I just remember when we left and after they cleaned me out at the hospital, we went to my parents' house and I just laid there. I felt so numb. I couldn't move. It was so heartbreaking for me. After my mom was there, my dad, I'm so grateful for all of them just being there for me. It was kind of like a state of us like, dang it, you know, like there was like a glimpse of hope that maybe we would be able to have kids, right? And then I even remember, once again, Ofeina, when I was able to go back home, like she showed up with like flowers and balloons and she just cried with me. I just remember I was just like, Naki had to go to work and we just cried together. We just decided, you know, I don't want to feel this heartbreak anymore. And so I decided to get on like the pill, right? After being on the pill for just a couple months, God had other plans because we got pregnant with Lecky.
Yeah, and that was on birth control.
And he was definitely our miracle baby. We also took that very slow too. Like I was very nervous. That's actually why I gained a lot of weight, because I just didn't want to do anything that would hinder my pregnancy. As you can tell, the pregnancy went well, even though it was hard, you know, because I was in labor for 13 hours. And
your dad?
When my mom called my dad and my dad heard Lecky crying, the only question my dad asked my mom was like, how's Latapu?
Is she alive?
Yeah, she's still alive.
Yeah.
And my mom, instead of just telling him, she's like just crying. And my dad thinks like I passed away because like she's just crying. But she's crying, I'm crying, he's crying, you know, and Lecky's crying. And then he's like, answer me, how's Latapu? And that's when my mom said she's alive, she's doing well. So yeah, it was definitely one of those moments.
Yeah. And with that, I think we're gonna end there.
Our advice to you guys, when preparing to get married, especially through some hard trial time, like be very constant in prayer, be consistently in prayer, and be surrounded by people who are going to love you guys and support you guys. You know, that's a huge and important thing to have around you, because people are going to try to give you doubt. People are going to try to give you like no hope at all.
But yeah, like I think having conversations about, you know, couples coming together, it should be supported. There should be conversations going on, so that way they know that there's support, there's love, there's guidance. You know, because really when you do things and there's no guidance, like us, you you tend to just start making your own call. But for us, we have make those calls and we have learned from them.
We had the consequences,
and now we want to give hope and give guidance to those who are going to be coming this route, right? It's going to be scary, it's going to be uncertain, but they're worth it. Obviously, we've just learned so much through the decisions and the failures and the mistakes we've made along the way. And so, again, we want to be a hope and a light in the topic of marriage because it's worth it. Your legacy is worth it. Your family is worth it. You didn't come all this way just for you to not have those conversations.
We're going to wrap it up here, and the next topic we're actually going to talk about is how we navigated having kids back to back, and then now wanting to have more kids and still battling through a lot of miscarriages, as parenting, and even the crazy, chaotic part of being married and reaching 10 years. God can turn a mess into a message, a test into a testimony, but he can take any situation and create a blessing.
Yes.
And nobody can tell you otherwise. So we love you guys. Have an amazing night, and we will talk to you all soon.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.